I'm here in Providence, Rhode Island at Kate Colby's house. Thank you, Kate, for having us.
You're welcome.
And Kate is here, and Anna. Hi, Anna.
Can't get rid of me.
We've got a little Walt Whitman poem about institutions. I'll read it and we'll talk about it. I hear it was charged against me that I sought to destroy institutions, but really, I am neither for nor against institutions. What indeed have I in common with them, or what with the destruction of them? Only I will establish in the Mattahatta, in every city of these states, inland and seaboard, and in the fields and woods, and above every keel, little or large, that dents the water, without edifices or rules or trustees or any argument, the institution of the dear love of comrades. Well, Anna, let's leave that last gloppy line aside for a second and just talk about his stance against institutions. Why would it have been charged? Can you imagine someone, and I'm sure there was, some review or some complaint that Whitman is destroying institutions?
He's destroying the poetic institution by using these long lines and where are the rhymes? And, Walt wants to take down the academy.
Yeah, the official verse culture, as Charles Bernstein would put it. Okay. Kate, is there another institution he might have been accused of destroying?
I feel like I'm being gaslighted by Whitman.
Well, let's introduce the last line. Go ahead. He's pulling one on us, right?
Yeah.
Because he's actually, by this point, an institution in himself.
Sure.
Wait, what was the question? What institution might he be destroying?
Yeah. Well, Anna offered that it's the poetic institution, supposedly.
I mean, his whole Lucretian orgy mode defies institutionality at large. Mm-hmm. He's, trying to poetically break down all the walls.
Right.
So, yeah, poetic institutions, but I think all social institutions, he imagines he has the capacity to put holes in. Mm-hmm.
One of the paradoxes of this radicalism is that he starts to form a United States, from sea to shining sea. He covers it all. So there's a kind of, maybe we would say, a reimagining of America, but it's still quite institutional in the way that, there's no Canada here or, the Middle East or anything like that.
Yeah.
The last line, Anna?
I keep thinking of the phrase, the institution of marriage, as like a phrase that you heard a lot when people would argue against marriage equality.
Very radical.
Yeah,
right?
so
he's talking about love of all kinds.
Yeah. So I keep, the institution of is something that you hear when you talk about, academic institutions or, scientific institutions, but, the institution of marriage is, a particular phrase. And it feels to me like that's just a phrase that kind of came to my head when I was thinking about what kinds of institutions might he be interested in busting up. Mm. And you could certainly imagine that his social radicalism or progressivism or ideas about relationships among people might have felt really institution breaking to a 19th century person.
Let's explore the gaslighting logic a little further. The parenthesis says, I'm not anti-institution. I just don't even think about institutions. He's obviously thinking all the time about institutions. Yeah. Says, I'm not in favor. I'm not against.
Yeah, he doesn't see race either.
He doesn't see really,
He'd be one of those people. I don't see color.
Well, the word slavery, so slavery, the phrase institution of slavery.
That's another one, yeah.
Is, the word institution, how can it not in the 19th century at least conjure up slavery as well?
It's the argument for why something is, why a social thing seems more crystallized than it is. To call something that's imposed on someone else, like being against marriage equality, or being against, or being pro-slavery, I guess, you argue that it's an institution, you can't break this up, this is a ironclad thing. Mm-hmm. It's that argument for why these things exist.
Right.
So why isn't Whitman even more against institution? Well, it's because he's arguing that some institutions are good, like the love of comrades. Mm. But that's not a good enough reason to not be against institution.
Okay.
This is just one of his like incredible pie in the sky moments that make me laugh. He just
Isn't it meant to be a little comic at the beginning? I hear it was charged against me.
I mean, he would like to hear that charged against him.
Probably.
He's wishing an antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's imagining this systemic change that he is capable of bringing about with his verse. But he never really gets down in the system. He just floats around above it, like calling names.
I want to end by asking you both about the way he used the word argument. So we have a little list. He's claiming that if he establishes in all these places, you get all the places, then what he establishes is without edifice, without rules, without trustees, and without argument. I get his claim against edifices and rules, especially poetic rules of the time. Trustees is kind of a joke about institutions such as universities.
Right.
But argument?
No talking back.
I guess.
Without argument, meaning no argument here, like a parental no argument.
Or maybe no one would argue that this would be a welcome change.
This idea is so awesome. Who could argue with it?
Yeah.
It's inarguable. Right. Like so much of Song of Myself, for instance, what I assume, you shall assume. And then the institution in the last line becomes verb-like, I shall institute. It will happen. All right, final thoughts. Anna?
Oh.
Are you against institutions? Sorry.
Oh, Walt. Yeah, this is a weird one.
Do you like Walt less, knowing that this is his argument against institutions?
That's an unfair question. I have super complicated feelings about Walt, but this poem in particular, I mean, I love what it's doing poetically. I love the way that the lines are working and that those funny parentheses and the way he's trying to set himself up as like, no, I can. There's this like kind of cognitive dissonance of like, I can believe both of these things. I can be both for and against institutions at exactly the same time. I'm just going to tell you exactly which institution that I'm for, and it's love, and I guess that's all right. But other than that, I have some questions.
Kate?
Well, I love Walt for his catalogic lists, and because this is so small, there's a lot more of his sort of grand schemes, his verbing around it, which, always makes me giggle.
Yeah,
So.
right. More lists, less verbing. Yeah, I guess my final... I'm sorry?
Only I will establish. Like, that's the line I think I'm stuck on.
And it's almost hard to read, only I will.
Yeah.
Because it also could mean, only on the other hand, I could. However, yeah.
It's Jim Jonesy.
It is Jim Jonesy there. My final thought is about the word really, because if he's conjuring some kind of critic, some kind of detractor, that word really has a lot of humor in it. But really, and then what he tells you really is that it's a non-issue for him. He's not on one side or another.
Yeah.
You think he's being arch here, though? Sorry, you're trying to wrap up.
No. Funny. Oh, yeah, arch meaning he's got a little satirical strategy. I think he is being comic as well as dreamy, as you were suggesting. Well, thank you both. Let's go out and destroy some institutions.
Let's do it.
Kate, thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
Anna?
Thanks, Al. If you liked this episode, watch another and subscribe.
And join us for ModPo, a free and open course at modpo.org.